Hello and welcome everyone. So today's session is KPIs Decoded, Unravelling Library Tips and Tricks. We'll run through Vizlib Library and how you can get the most from it. We'll even be sharing some of the product team's hottest tricks. If you do have any suggestions for what you'd like to see in a future webinar, or even if you would like to join us and share your knowledge or a story, again, use the Q&A function and just give us some contact details, or you can reply to the follow-up email, which you receive either today or tomorrow. And without further ado, I will hand you over to my esteemed colleague, Luke, who will take it away today and share all the lovely tips and tricks that he has for you today.
Thank you very much, Derulo. Okay.
You're very welcome.
Okay, yeah, so hey guys, excited for this little snackable. I know KPI is a very used product from, I think basically all of our users have some form of a KPI. So it's one of our most popular extensions. So yeah, let's definitely get into it. So if we go to the next slide. So what we'll be covering in this, kind of short, but hopefully we'll get to the each point within the 15 minutes and hopefully some time for Q&A. So yeah, performance improvements, what can we do there? Design considerations, KPI standardization. And I'd like to actually start, I put a reminder there because I always forget, but could we start with a quick poll about KPI templates? Yeah, so I'm just curious if you guys are using templates within your business, not just for KPI. It's quite a super powerful feature of our Vizlib products. So I'm just curious to see what you guys are doing with it. So yeah, let's go into performance improvements. Let me go over. And thank you. I'm just going to close that now. Not questions yet. And we're going to go to this app. So performance improvements. What are we going to do? So there's a few key points I want to cover. One of them being reduce the complexity. And master items, a few things like that. Some hard facts to the KPI. So I think sort of whistle in the wind. Some people have some idea of what KPI is fully capable of. Some people have a different opinion. And of course, I love them Viz tips, hence why I'm using this beautiful app here. Not biased at all. But yeah, let's get into it. So reduce and combine. So for performance, right? So I think we understand about how Click renders its components. So it starts top left, makes its way down to the bottom right. But what that means is that if you have, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 KPIs here and 2 other visualizations from the Vizlib Library bundle. But what we see here is that we have 1 KPI, 2 KPI, 3 KPI, and 4 KPI, right? So this is really cool. I think it's personally quite clear about what each KPI is talking about. However, we encounter some small problems which are, and some things which can easily help speed up the performance of your app. Can we think about simplicity? So can we combine these 4 KPIs into one object? So what I mean by that is, I won't go through the entirety of doing it now, but I will demonstrate what I mean. So in this other app over in this, I don't have it on this. If we go to app overview, if I go to my new sheet, so we can see here that what I have done is I have combined a few of my KPIs together. And the idea of this is that it helps to speed up performance. Of course, once you've loaded the page, and then you go from one sheet to another, and then come back to it, it's cached, so the performance will be quite quick after that. It will be near seamless. But when you first load the page, when you first load your click sheet, everything has to cache at least once, right? So if you load up this KPI, you go, yeah, it has to download everything, has to present it. But more importantly, Click has to render out everything within this component. So if I was talking about the 4 KPI objects, so again, back in this sheet, if I have my 4 KPI objects here, how can we simplify that? Well, that's simply done by going and making them into 1. So as we can see, what I've done here is that I've pretty much just put these 2 the actual cost and the budgeting plan. I put those into their own one KPI. I could do the same with this. I could include this into this KPI as well. And again, that's quite simply done because obviously the KPI is free form grid. I can move things around as I please and however I want. Okay. And the benefit of that is obviously it allows you guys to have a quicker performing dashboard, taken up with the less complex design in general, and also is a more seamless looking experience. So from a design consideration point of view, it looks better as well because you no longer have these what do you call these, like border lines, these box shape. So yeah, that would be performance tip number one. Definitely look at reducing the amount of KPI objects on your screen. Try and combine them if you can. But of course, it does then mean if you want to use Viz tips. So how to use Viz tips? Once again, let's think about simplicity. So we can go into this sheet here and we can start using this. We can use this KPI, which we have here, which you saw on the other page. It's kind of good. But again, simplicity is key. So let's try and consider simplistic KPIs because, simplistic Viz tips because they render faster. Because of course, each time you hover over something has to calculate what you're actually hovering over. So either you can have a complex one, but it takes longer to load, as you saw there, it's slightly flashed, or we can have this one here, which loads fairly quick and presents all the data in a very meaningful way. Remember, a KPI isn't a whole new visualization. It's there to give some, I mean, you could obviously use it for that, but within reason, a Viz tip is there to give some overview information, some key highlights, some key information about a certain. And so it's important to respect those properties about it. So that's probably what I would say performance tip number two. So, and then we can go into some hard facts. So if we go back to this sheet. So some people say, how many visualizations should I have? Well, that's sort of how long is a piece of string. So what you can do is within the KPI, you can have master item. You can have master items. So if we go ahead, actually I won't do it on this page, I'll go back to the other one, if you don't mind me. So what you can do is with our Viz tip or KPI, sorry, we can add master items. Now these are brilliant because this means that you can have full Vizlib functionality. So let's say, for example, I want to include a table. There we are. The KPI doesn't natively have a table in here, but you have to appreciate that a master item will take longer to render. So in regards to some charts, such as the bar chart, can we consider using what I would call, I don't think this is their official name, but what I call simple Vizlib components. So such as the text, object, icons, images, I mean the line, bar chart, line chart, bullet chart, gauge, pie chart, and icon bar. These are what I would like to say are lightweight versions of the Vizlib products. Obviously, they don't come with all the functionality, such as the line chart, the native one here, or the one associated with the KPI design. It does not have forecasting. If it's important for you guys to have forecasting within your KPI, then obviously you're going to have some trade-offs here. But within your KPI object, is it possible to use the simple components first? I would always recommend trying to use these more simplistic components before using master items. And the simple reason being, they're quicker to load. So can you consider having a more powerful or quicker performing KPI over what I would probably call a more powerful KPI, such as using the advanced analytics and things like that. Number of KPIs on the sheet, I mean, again, it varies, but I think it's important to look at the difference between what you can do with the simple KPI or their KPI from Click. So let's say, for example, I want to have a number here. So we have 6, and then I'm going to add plus 1. So now that's my KPI here. I can't really do much else with it, but obviously with the Vizlib KPI, I can go ahead, right? I want the text layer here. Brilliant. Okay, I'm going to push that down by there. I've got now a bar chart if I want it to show some things over time. I'm now going to also include some text once again. Go by here, 6. I want it to look like that. And you can see not within a very few clicks, within a few seconds, I have a more meaningful KPI that I can adjust to be more to my liking and one that's going to be more beneficial to me. But again, every component you add here is going to add more rendering time. So it's a trade-off. Do you want a more complex KPI such as this one? Or do you want something which is really speedy and powerful, such as this one? So let's go on to the design considerations a little bit. I've already spoken about trying to combine the KPIs because not only does that aid performance, but it helps improve design as well. Obviously, my design layers here are quite terrible. You can obviously go ahead here and label, so such as lower bullet chart. So now we've gone ahead. Now I know refers to that layer down there. So again, design consideration. I come from a design background myself. I love layers. Definitely consider using these within your visualization and try and make them. Yeah, simple design always works. That's what I've found. All design language can be narrowed down to something which is nice and simple. And then finally, KPI standardization. I appreciate we have 3 minutes left, so I'll just go into this quickly. So within your business, within your different organizations or different levels, you may have different ways of presenting KPIs. And this is a brilliant tool for templates. So for anyone who uses templates, actually I didn't see what the result of that poll was, but hopefully I'll be able to see it. I'll also answer some Q&As in a minute. Let me finish off this. So yeah, so we have the have templates, simple and effective way of getting standardization throughout your entire business. There is resources on the internet which will be included in the follow-up email, so I won't go into detail about that. But essentially, you can go ahead, create your template. Once you have a design which you like, you need to use an online product for it. And then in the portal, you can inject templates into offline products. But essentially what I'm going to do here is, right, let's say that this is my financial KPI. Okay, great. Within literally a click, I already have something which I want to use. Okay, great. So you can even have some expressions in here already is saved, so that again helps speed up some time. But I can now just go in here. I can do some simple, count, and then let's find a field which I can use. So there we are, count code. There we are, and I can go ahead and I've now got $6 worth of code. So hopefully that can benefit you when creating your dashboards, because again, we're here to make your lives easier, not harder. We want you guys to be able to go into your dashboard, few clicks, bang, you're sorted, move on to the next visualization. Let's actually end this one on time, because usually I talk over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at some Q&As, and then let's go ahead and try and answer them. So why is a quicker load in the same amount of KPIs, only one graph? Okay, so hopefully I already answered this. But essentially what Click has to do is, let me move that out of the way. So what Click has to do is that it has to go into each of these, has to render out each individual component before moving on to the next. Though it's quick, obviously, but if you can try and combine stuff into one component first, so as we have here, so we have 2 KPIs from the previous sheet into just one. What Click does is it looks at this, okay, cool, that's what I need to render, renders it, and then moves on. But what if I was on the other sheet? So again, going back to this one, what you see here is that Click has to first render this one, okay, move on to the next one, move on to the next one, move on to the next one, and so on, so on. If you had 8 KPIs on here, I appreciate that some companies do have a lot of KPIs. If you have 8 KPIs on here, well, okay, that means Click has to stop, render this one, and then stop and move on to the next one 8 times, instead of just one big render at once and then moving on to the next one. This is mainly beneficial for people who have slightly more complex KPIs. These render fairly quick because they're using quite basic components. But of course, if it's anything from complex expressions, as well as complex charts or master items, or if you have many layers in here. I've seen some examples of up to 40, 50 layers within one KPI. And then another KPI, which has another 40, 50 layers. And then you can begin to understand why Click may take a while to render out these components. So yes, hopefully I answered that one. Instead of using multiple KPIs to combine several into one KPI, freeform object, how might that look on different screens? Okay, yeah. So obviously designing for mobile is quite important. So this is up to you, unfortunately. How you design for both a mobile user as well as a desktop user are drastically different. That's why if I was to reduce the size of this, you can see that now I have no idea what page you're looking at, but you can see now that things are they're on top of each other. So yeah, this is something to consider. Definitely a really good point. So what you may want to do is consider that. So maybe instead of designing width, you design for length. So what I've done in this chart in this example over here. So I've designed for length instead of width. And what this means is that let me undo that. There we are. And what this means is that I can design maybe for a long chart that has maybe 3-4 KPIs merged into one, but when it goes to mobile view, their properties, their styling will remain the same. Instead of having something which is really wide, such as the one here, and then on mobile view it looks something more like that. So it'll look more condensed. But of course, any design consideration has to be tested first. And again, coming from a design background, it's worth testing before publishing to your audience. So again, I've answered live. Done. Community, we don't recommend using more than 10 layers per object. Yeah, so we recommend that for performance reasons. Of course, you can use more. Of course, you can use less. But 10 tends to be quite a good golden number. We recommend 10 because of the fact that a lot of people would have more than one KPI on their dashboard. But if you merge them into one, then yeah, you have more than 10 layers like this one. I don't know how many it has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Well, this only has 13 layers, so you know it's fairly pretty. And then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've got 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I've got 13 layers here. So again, it has more to do with how complex the chart is than the number of layers. But 10 is a general rule if you just have 1 or 2 visualizations that are using 1 or 2 KPIs. But if you decide to have more than just a few KPIs on your sheet, I would probably recommend combining them into one object instead of having like 6, 8, 10 KPI objects, because of what I mentioned before, where it has to stop, render, move on to the next one, stop, render, move on to the next one. Is there any impact on UI performance if we are using Vizlib charts? I'd like to think Vizlib helps to improve UI. I'll be interested to know if there's anything more behind that. So there isn't any noticeable UI performance decrease. You have the button, you have the sheet menu, you have everything like that, for example. Hopefully they are quite a well-used tool within your industry. So if there's a sheet menu plus, recommend upgrading if you're not already from the sheet menu to the sheet menu plus for performance reasons. It's a faster, quicker, stronger product. Hopefully I answered that one correctly for you guys. I have a question. Self-service using visualizations, and there's a bookmark created. I have a situation where I'm not able to access all the fields in my bookmark. Self-service is not is not my product, so I don't think I can really answer that one in this webinar either, because this is mainly focused on the KPI. So I would recommend opening up a support case if you could. Sorry, support, if you're watching this. Okay. Apparently, Vizlib extensions have an issue with sense theme, bitmetric, and our company these in the future release have an issue with the KPI and sense theme. Has this been addressed yet? Happy for your answer privately. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, so we are looking at how to support some form of sense themes. Of course, this is with click sense theming, we want to be as aligned as possible. Excuse me. So this is something that we as a business are looking more into, and about how to accommodate this in more charts is a matter of applying this with features that you guys have obviously raised and bugs that you guys are may or may not be facing. So yes, of course, I think there could be a feature request for that on the board. Perhaps is worth. If it's not, definitely just raise a feature request and we'll look into it. We'll look into some way of including this. Any chance PDF exporting of the sheet will work with Vizlib? This is blocked by click, if I understand correctly. I think you're talking about click SAS, if I'm correct. So at the moment, we have PDF reported on Sense Enterprise, but on SAS that is still blocked from click side. Sorry to inform or remind you. Yes, SAS. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah, so this is still blocked from click side. Again, we can only ask that you guys open up support cases, feature requests with them. The more people that shout about it, the quicker that I hopefully get done. How can you add KPI? Sorry, yes, I hopefully answered those questions for you. How do you add a KPI as a tooltip? VizTip. So on the Vizlib capabilities. So if we go here, we can see which products have VizTips. So that is covered in another webinar. That's actually the VizTip webinar, which will be shown to you guys, I think, in the follow-up email. You can go watch that. Equally, you can go to our vizlib.com. You can go to our demo apps either on the portal or on vizlib.com. Demo gallery and search for data storytelling with VizTips. So this one, so it's the second one from the top. That's the app I'm using now because it tells the story quite well of KPIs in general. But yeah, definitely go ahead and have a look at that webinar. It is very informative. So yeah. And feature request, thank you very much. Okay. Hello, Dirk. Is there going to be an improvement on the user of master items in the KPI so that tooltips from the master items are displayed as well? Okay. Thanks, Chris. So okay. So tooltips from, okay, let's quickly do this. I've got so many screens open. Let's go ahead and I'm just going to make a new KPI. It'll be a bit easier than doing all this now. Let's move that out of the way. Lovely. Okay, so what we are going to do is quickly make a Viz KPI even. Let's bring that in here. And I'm going to make a bar chart with some simple data. Let's do... Oh, that's the click KPI, click stuff, sorry. And I sorry as well, I know that we've gone over time, but if you guys are still keen to listen, there's still 65 of you listening to me speak. I thought people would have got tired by now, but obviously. Okay, yeah, so with the KPI the tooltips. So yeah, let's go and create a master item. So I'm just going to do borough. Okay, good. And then we're just going to have a very simple measure of count. And again, borough. Okay. Doesn't necessarily matter. It's going to be very boring one-dimensional chart, but that's fine. But we have tooltips here, okay? I'm not going to bother making more advanced tooltips, but this should get the point across. I'm going to enable this webinar. That's fine. Webinar bar chart. Cool. Master item. Let's go. Let's put that towards the top. Brilliant. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add this as a master item. Now, of course, again, you'll see here. Okay, great. There's my, here is my master item bar chart. And what I'm going to do now is there is a property and a master item is called read only. I'm going to tick that off. And then you'll see now that I can hover over this and get my tooltip to display within. I do hope I'm answering this question correctly for you. Equally, let's remove this and make it a simple bar chart. Again, with the same dimensions and everything. So dimension borough, if I can spell that correctly. Yeah, borough. And then I'm going to do again, count borough. And then you'll see, okay, cool, now we've got that. And there is something in here. I have to remember where the setting is. So you can enable tooltips within simple charts. So again, I'm just going to do count borough because it's fine. And you'll see now that I've got my general tooltip for the products in here, for the bars in there. Again, you're trading off some things. So this is obviously I've lost where that feature has gone. So obviously you are going to trade off some things because this is a more basic bar chart. As we can see here, it's just counting the global. But yeah, I mean, you can obviously go ahead in here and then break it down by if borough equals this and so on, so on, so on. You can just keep breaking it down with using HTML as well. So that's kind of beneficial in regards to this. Again, I'm not going to bother doing all that because I want to try and keep this as possible. And I believe that is the final answer. We have answered all of them. 60 participants left. You guys are troopers. Thanks for listening to me. Let's go back to this questions. We have just answered them all.
Amazing stuff.
Is there anything coming next? Well, I haven't got any text in here.
Amazing. Yeah, we have a couple of webinars coming up, which we can include in the follow-up email as well. Notably, of course, a rewind recap of ClickWorld, which is very, very soon. And we also have more of this Decoded series coming soon as well. So stay tuned for that because as interesting and as enigmatic and charismatic as Luke is, we have lots more content for you. So stay tuned.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think, yeah, we'll call it there. So 15-minute snackable turned into half an hour.
15 minutes of Q&A with your dulcet tones are absolutely amazing. And
Yes.
of course, even the Q&A will be included in the recording. That will be sent out afterwards. So yeah, any other questions, feel free to reply to that email or reach out to us in the community or directly over LinkedIn. Thank you very much, Luke. And
thank you
to all of you for staying tuned.
Cheerio. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.